Reporting tonight, Melinda Akilami.
Tonight, I have what it takes to turn Nigeria into a developed and prosperous nation, APC presidential candidate Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu declares as his campaign train storms Dutse, the Jigawa state capital. Better days are ahead, PDP leaders promise as they take the party's presidential campaign to Mina, Niger state. Party's flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar, says his administration will complete the Barrow Port project in the state. Women in Anambra State begin mobilization of support for the Labour Party presidential candidate as Abga's senatorial candidate for Anambra North takes campaign to communities in the zone. And Ukraine says delay by Western countries in sending extra weapons to their country is killing more of her people.
And on business news tonight, Nigeria's forex reserves record another increase, rising slightly by $2.61 million week on week.
The race is on and the political parties are ramping up their campaigns with the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, taking his message of renewed hope to Jigawa State today. Speaking at the Malam Aminu Kano Triangle in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital, Senator Tinubu gave assurances of rapid development in the area of security and economy if voted as the president in next month's election.
In continuation of the All Progressives Congress presidential campaign, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu stormed Dutse, the Jigawa state capital, with members of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. The presidential candidate arrives the venue in company of governors of Jigawa, Kano, Kebbi, Borno, Yobe and Zamfara states, as well as the president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The event begins with a message of hope from the governor of Jigawa State, who explains the progress recorded by President Buhari.
Given what we have achieved in the last 8 years, from what Baba Buhari has done to the development that we have done in Jigawa State, I'm sure with this now, you are convinced that we have done the right thing and we have done very well.
Some members of the Labour Party, including its governorship candidates, who along with other candidates of the party decamped to APC, are received by the APC Presidential Campaign Council.
From today, myself as a gubernatorial candidate, my deputy in the name of Yakubu Sile, the only senatorial candidate in the Jigawa State is Yakubu Hadeza, and one of the only 3 House of Reps members, Bala Aji, and only 20 functional Labour Party House of Assembly members who have all decamped to APC.
It is the turn of the APC presidential candidate to state his mission to Jigawa State. He heralds his address with a brief dance. Addressing the crowd, the presidential candidate assures Nigerians of development in the area of security and economy if voted as the president in the February 25th presidential election.
The end has come to violence, killing, hostage-taking, and ransom-taking.
As the crowd departs the Malam Aminu Kano Triangle in Dutse, the All Progressives Congress is hopeful of victory in the 2023 general elections.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party presidential candidate's campaign trail has moved to the north central, specifically Niger State, where his supporters converge on the Mina Trade Fair complex in the state capital to receive the team. At the rally, Mr. Atiku Abubakar promised, amongst other things, to complete the Barrow Port project and construct roads if the party returns to power come February the 25th. The party also received some defectors from the APC, including the former Nigerian ambassador to South Africa, Mr. Ahmed Ibeto. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, has this report.
The private jet of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, arrives at the Minna airport Saturday afternoon. On hand to receive him are bigwigs of the PDP and hundreds of party supporters in Niger State. From the airport, the campaign train moves to the Minna Trade Fair complex, where thousands of supporters have gathered to receive Mr. Abubakar, who alongside his vice presidential candidate, leadership of the PDP and members of the Presidential Campaign Council, mounts the stage to show their joy to the people. Addressing his supporters in vernacular, Mr. Abubakar promises that his administration will bring progress to Niger State.
We want to assure you that if you return PDP to power, we will tackle insecurity by the grace of God. We will also ensure that the completion of Barrow Port, which was started by the PDP but truncated by the APC administration of change. So we urge you to vote in PDP to ensure progress of Niger State and Nigeria as a whole.
The vice presidential candidate, Governor Ifanyo Ho of Delta State, the PDP national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, also assured the people of better days ahead.
At one point, 10 of the local governments in Niger State were occupied by bandits, and yet we had a government that promised you it will give you change, it will give you security, it will give you development. Did you see development in Niger State? No.
We cannot continue to destroy the future of Nigeria. We cannot continue to destroy the future of our youths. Therefore, I urge all of you, both the youths, the women, and the elders, go out there and campaign from village to village. Go out there and campaign from house to house. We need to get back the Nigeria of our dream, and the only answer is PDP.
The PDP also received some of the campaigns from the All Progressives Congress in Niger State, and among them is the former ambassador to South Africa, Mr. Ahmed Ebeto, and a former member of the House of Representatives, Mr. Ibrahim Ebo. Some party members say this shows the level of acceptability of the PDP in Niger State.
I am 100% confident that victory is for PDP, inshallah, from top to bottom.
Now it's Atiku's time to come and recover Nigeria. The belief is there, spiritually, physically, you could feel it in you.
With the 2023 presidential election just 5 weeks away, the PDP is confident that these thousands of supporters and many more will support the party to victory. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the chances of the People's Democratic Party to resolve its internal crisis appears to be getting slimmer by the day. This comes as Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State has vowed to challenge in court the dissolution of the Ekiti State Executive Committee of the party and the suspension of some party members across the country by its National Working Committee. Governor Wike was speaking at the state PDP campaign rally in Kana local government area, declared that the battle line has been fully drawn between him and the national chairman of the party, Mr. Iyorchia Ayu.
The latest port of call by the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State is Bori, the administrative headquarters of Kana local government area and traditional headquarters of the Ogoni people. The visit is in continuation of the party's campaigns for the governorship and legislative elections.
I don't need to preach more, but I only want to say, for those of you who are sitting down in Thomas, who are still out there, come and join hands with PDP family in Kana local government to vote massively for our assembly candidate come March 11, 2023, all of us massively. We come to vote for our incoming governor, Simplify. Sim Fubara.
Unveiling the party's manifesto for Kana local government area, the governorship candidate promises to revamp education and other infrastructure.
We are not here to say support us because it's our own turn. It is not a business of turn. It's a business of performance. We know that the major problem we have in Kana is your schools. We will touch it. And the security issue is because of your leaders, your oil, which they go about instigating youth that will quell that problem.
In his address, Governor Nyesom Wike warns against voting for those who would turn Rivers State into their private estate.
In this 2023, do not make the mistake of voting for people who will not care about you, people who want to use you. Do not do that. And so, from governorship down to assembly, senate, house of Reps, make sure you support all our candidates.
He also sends a strong message to the PDP national leadership over the dissolution of the Ekiti State Executive Committee of the party and the suspension of some party members.
We are dissolving the State ESCO will not help you in any way. The battle line has been full drawn. And as I speak to you, we'll do everything legally possible to challenge any decision that we know is illegal. Whatever illegal decision you are taking, because we believe in the rule of law, we have the capacity to pay back. We have the capacity to tell you that enough is enough.
The PDP in Rivers State leaves Kana local government area with assurances from stakeholders to work for the victory of the party in appreciation of the infrastructure revolution by the Nyesom Wike-led administration.
More on political campaigns, and in Anambra State this time, the women do not want to be left behind as they also continue to assert their relevance. While the Abuja senatorial candidate for Anambra North Senatorial Zone, who is also the wife of the former governor of Anambra State, Mrs. Ebele Obiano, receives endorsements from leaders of communities in Anambra North Senatorial Zone. The Labour Party women say they will work to ensure the presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Peter Obi, pulls a landslide victory in Anambra State.
The state capital. The women are throwing their weight behind the party's candidate, Mr. Peter Obi.
We should get ready and make sure we do the needful. Over the years, women have been the building block, not only in elections, but in families.
Labour Party women are ready to work in Anambra State. They will work and make sure that they will bring out people to come and vote for His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi.
The national campaign rally of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, may have emboldened the candidates of the party to begin grassroots mobilization, especially following the overwhelming reception at the event. In Otuocha, Anambra East local government area, the party's senatorial candidate for Anambra North and wife of the immediate past governor of the state, Mrs. Ebele Obiano, is meeting with leaders of all the communities in the zone to share her manifesto.
I'm not running for the office because I want to be called distinguished senator. No. I'm doing it because of what I'm going to do for the people. A promise I want to give you is that you are going to get effective and positive representation.
Chairman of the association, Professor Charles Nwadigwe, announces the group's unanimous support for Mrs. Obiano based on competence, capacity, and power rotation culture.
We have looked at all the candidates that are contesting for senatorial seats in Anambra North come 2023 elections. And we have considered their potentials, and we have found that Chief Mrs. Sebele Chukwuobiano Osodieme is amply qualified.
The women say the ethos of public office should be sanctimonious and displayed by reducing the cost of governance.
In part 2, after the break, we'll have more on politics. Plus, police, alongside other security agencies, rescued 2 of the 6 pupils kidnapped on their way to school in Nasarawa State yesterday. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. I have what it takes to turn Nigeria into a developed and prosperous nation, APC presidential candidate Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu declares as his campaign train storms Tuesday the Jigawa state capital. Better days are ahead, PDP leaders promise as they take the party's presidential campaign to Mina, Niger State. Party's flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar, says his administration will complete the Baru Port project in the state. Women in Anambra State begin mobilization of support for the Labour Party presidential candidate as Abuja senatorial candidate for Anambra North takes campaign to communities in the zone. And Ukraine says delay by Western countries in sending extra weapons to their country is killing more of her people. The female wing of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has commenced voter education in the North Central with high optimism that the exercise will boost the party's chances in the forthcoming general elections. The program, which was flagged off in the nation's capital, Abuja, is to enlighten the electorate on how to cast their ballot and reduce the number of void votes in the election. They are also planning to hold strategic meetings with community leaders to enlist their support for the protection of votes cast on election day.
Female politicians, mainly of northern extraction in the ruling All Progressives Congress, are gathered in this hall in Abuja to flag off the voter education campaign in the North Central. The APC women are hoping that the exercise will increase the party's chances in the forthcoming general elections.
It is our hope that through voter education across all supporter groups, millions of eligible voters will have the opportunity to get the relevant information and what they need to know and their rights and responsibility in the general electoral process. We believe that through robust enlightenment, engagement of voters, our principal and the candidate of APC and his vice will emerge the next executive president, Federal Republic of Nigeria, inshallah.
The 2023 general elections will be conducted with the 2022 Electoral Act, and these female politicians believe strongly that there is the need to educate the electorate in order to minimize the number of void votes.
The prerequisite for election is to vote, and especially in the face of the present INEC guidelines for election, it's no longer business as usual. You all know. You must go physically, you will be snapped. The processes involved in casting your vote this time around is so much that voters need to be educated. If not, you lose so many votes. We need to educate our voters so that they can cast their votes correctly and their votes can be counted. No matter how you like Asiwaju and Shetima ticket, or APC by extension, if you don't cast your vote very well, if your vote is not counted, it's useless.
Apart from mobilizing the electorate to cast their votes for their party, the female politicians are also interested in protection of their ballots.
One thing is to vote, another thing is to protect our voting. It's important to engage community leaders. It's important to engage the traditional ruler. I'm happy that both traditional ruler is here. It's important to engage them in what we're doing.
The electoral umpire recorded over 1.2 million rejected votes in 2019, representing 4.5% of the overall 28.6 million total votes cast.
Staying with politics, the presidential candidate of the Zenith Labour Party, Mr. Dan Wanyanwu, is promising to prioritize security, youth empowerment, and gender mainstreaming if elected to office in the forthcoming presidential election. Mr. Wanyanwu made the promise during the presentation of his manifesto at a news conference in the nation's capital. He also maintains that if elected, his administration will audit the country's security architecture and address the spate of killings across the country.
Our government will place high premium on the urgent need to safeguard and protect the lives and property of citizens with the requisite political will and policies. To this end, we will deploy both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches to urgently address the security concerns in our country. We will immediately commence a total overhaul of the entire security architecture in the country to enable us to implement defense and strategic policies capable of addressing emergent security threats and challenges. Our approach in this direction will lie in identifying the drivers of the various forms of insecurity in the country and taking necessary steps through legislation, policy decisions, programs, projects, dialogues, etc., to address them.
As political parties continue to crisscross the country to canvass for votes in the run-up to the general elections, it remains to be seen if they will ensure they stick to issue-based campaign. This has become necessary following the meeting of the presidential candidates of the political parties and members of the National Peace Committee in Abuja. At the meeting, both parties, as well as other stakeholders, resolved to work in synergy towards ensuring a hitch-free general elections. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, has this report.
The National Peace Committee meeting holds in Abuja with stakeholders and presidential candidates of political parties in attendance. Notably absent at this meeting are the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, as well as the candidate and running mate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi and Mr. Dati Ahmed. The meeting begins with a complaint from the candidate of the African Action Congress, Omoyele Sowore, who complains that the seating arrangements in the hall should match the way parties are represented on the ballot paper.
It happened at the ICC, sir. The vice president of the APC sat in front of me because their presidential candidate would not come. It's not acceptable.
All right. I have heard you. For the purpose of this meeting, we have taken note of your observation. However, I will still beg you, let's go on with the meeting. I have taken note of your observation, and I'm going to see what can be done in the next meeting.
After the chairman of the Peace Committee notes Mr. Showore's complaint, he addresses the political parties on the purpose of this meeting.
You may recall that on the 29th of September 2022, that is last year, We invited all of you for the signing of the Peace Accord at the International Conference Center, Abuja. You may also recall that we placed advertisements in all major newspapers and the social media calling all presidential candidates to be mindful of the concerns of Nigerians on such issues as the need to use temperate language, avoiding raising the tone of violence, and to conduct themselves in a manner that does not undermine the electoral process. We are not here to listen to accusations and counter-accusations. We are not here to trade blames, but to raise issues and concerns so that we can explore the best means of resolving these concerns.
The media is excused and the meeting goes into a closed-door session. 3 hours later, the meeting ends, and as the candidates make their way out of the venue, a member of the National Peace Committee and chairman of Channels Media Group, Mr. John Momo, is nominated by the Peace Committee to address the media on the outcome of the meeting.
I think some of the parties have been fingered, particularly the supporters and some of the spokesmen. What the chairman is saying and what the Peace Committee is saying is that you could focus on issues instead of being personality-based, instead of insulting one another, instead of name callings, and instead of trying to bring people to disrepute. And I think that sank. It went well with most of them, but we wait and see. But at the end of the day, I think that there's need for more interaction amongst the political party representatives because this will help.
A peaceful, free and fair electoral process is in the interest of all Nigerians, and that's what this Peace Committee seeks to achieve with these series of meetings, identifying ways that the peace accord has been broken and finding a way to solve those issues before the elections. Hopefully a lot of the problems identified at today's meeting will be sorted out before the elections at the end of February. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
From politics to security matters, in Nasarawa State, the police, in collaboration with other security agencies, have rescued 2 pupils of the 6 who were abducted yesterday at Alwaza village in Doma local government area. The police public relations officer in the command, Raman Nansel, confirmed this to Channels Television. He added that efforts are ongoing to rescue the others between 7 and 8 years and arrest the perpetrators. Gunmen on motorcycles were said to have abducted the 6 students of the local government education authority primary school, Awaza, around 7 a.m. on Friday on their way to school. In response, a joint security team of the police, military and vigilante were mobilized to the area for a search and rescue operation. Meanwhile, the abductors of a monarch, His Royal Highness Isaac Azi Wakili, the paramount ruler of Izere Kingdom in Jos East local government area of Plateau State, have been apprehended while the traditional ruler has been rescued. In a statement, the police commander explained that a combined effort of security operatives, including members of the Hunters Association, trailed the abductors and engaged them in a gun duel, which resulted in the police officer sustaining gunshot wounds and a yet-to-be-identified civilian guard shot dead by the kidnappers. 2 suspects in connection with the kidnapping incident were apprehended in the course of the gun battle, while the injured officer has been taken to hospital for treatment and the body of the civilian guard taken to the morgue awaiting autopsy. To health matters now. Residents of Obubra local government area in Cross River State are calling for urgent help from the state government following a cholera outbreak that is said to have claimed over 60 lives in the area. Over 200 people are also said to have been infected by the disease across 14 wards of the council. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Janet Epeyong, has visited the hospital where the patients are being treated and promised that the government will act quickly to address the situation. This comes as the community's traditional ruler, Ovan Robert, appealed to the government to intervene by providing clean water.
Obubra is one of the 18 local government areas in Cross River State located in the Central Senatorial District. The major source of livelihood is fishing and selling of sand from this river for survival. The river, according to them, is the only source of water which they use for cooking, drinking, bathing, washing, as well as a channel to empty their waste. The people practice predominantly open defecation, leaving the water to wash feces away. This, according to some of the residents, is the cause of the cholera outbreak, which has claimed lives.
These causes of cholera is as a cause of dirty water and toilets we don't have. Our boys and girls are dying because of the water. So we plead on behalf of the community of Vernon, people should come and help us so that we'll survive from this disease.
Unhappy with the situation, the traditional ruler of the community lends his voice to the call for government intervention.
I have about 6 to 7 private secondary schools in Apiabu and the government secondary school. And there are very many nursery schools around Apiabu here. These children do not have any other source of water apart from the cross river. And this cross river, a lot of people defecate around the bushes all over here. We need the boreholes. That would alleviate this suffering of people.
Health officials led by the State Commissioner for Health is visiting the community to sensitize the people on the importance of visiting health centers instead of self-medicating.
Any case of diarrhea is suspected, first point of call should be the health facility closest to you, and of course encourage that in all our homes we should have the oral rehydration solution, at least ensure to initiate that immediately while you transport such person to the nearest health facility. So we've brought more commodities for the hospital. So we believe that once the communities are able to practice some of these preventive measures, it will go a long way to ensure that this does not happen again.
The state government also assures the people of plans to provide potable water, but in the meantime, urges them to do their part in practicing good hygiene for their safety.
In Kano State, the government says cases of diphtheria has risen from 25 to 100 in less than 2 weeks, with 3 deaths recorded across the state. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Ibrahim Sanyamwa, explains to journalists that the State Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health was notified by the Murtala Mohammed Specialist Hospital and the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital of the suspected cases, prompting the ministry to mobilize its team to begin the investigation. Now to other stories. Following the return of few queues in the FCT, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, is assuring residents that the queues will disappear in a matter of days. Addressing journalists at the company's depot in the Suleja area in Niger State, the Executive Vice President in charge of downstream at NNPC Limited, Mr. Adeyemi Adetunji, attributed the scarcity to an accident on the Bida Ajay Road involving trucks conveying petroleum products.
The joint leadership team from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, and the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners are visiting the NNPC depot in Suleja, Niger State. The Suleja depot is majorly used to supply petroleum products for most of northern Nigeria, including the nation's capital. However, the facility is low on supply following a road accident on one of the major routes to the depot.
We are just coming from the scene of the accident. There were 3 trucks conveying petroleum products that had accident around Agi, and they fell on the road, and they blocked the road completely in the last 24 hours or so. But we've been to the scene, and some cranes came and moved away the vehicles that had accident. But naturally, because of that blockage, you would expect some slow delivery. We hope in the next 24 hours everything should be well.
Today from Suleja, about 121 trucks were discharged today to the retail outlets within the FCT and environs. We would like to maintain this momentum so that those who are traveling back are in transit will not experience any hiccups at all. Gradually, we will see this tightness being resolved and supply and distribution will also improve.
As relevant authorities are planning to increase supply to the depot, the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners is planning to ensure the product gets to their destination in good time to relieve the pressure.
One of the things we are trying to do is to see how to improve in terms of the trucks that are coming into Suleja Depot and also other parts of northern Nigeria. There was an accident along the Bida-Agai Road, but that is being cleared, and the trucks have started to move slowly again, past that the incident location or spot. So the arrivals into Suleja should improve from tomorrow and also other parts of the country.
This may appear like cherry news for most residents of the affected area, especially the nation's capital, who've been battling the situation since last year. They will be hoping that the company is able to find a long-term solution to the situation.
The governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, has commissioned a 30-kilometer road which borders Nasarawa State. Governor Otom explains that the project is his modest way of improving the living standard of rural dwellers, as well as give access for security operatives to respond timely to distress calls. The governor carried out the commissioning as part of the PDP rally in Gbajimba community in Guma local government area of the state.
Over 35 communities along the newly constructed 30-kilometer Gbajimba Iyodia Road in Guma local government area of Benue State can now heave a sigh of relief as the road becomes functional. Governor Samuel Otom arrives in the company of the senator representing Benue Northwest to commission the road and seek support for the People's Democratic Party in next month's election.
We are in the season of leadership recruitment. This is the political season, Your Highness. And we come and make promises during election campaigns. Some are elected, they never keep their promises. Some keep their promises. You have to watch carefully who is able to keep their promises and who will not.
From the road, which cost 2 billion naira, the team moved to the Gbajimba General Hospital for commissioning, where over 1.2 billion naira has been expended to restore the health facility for optimum services.
I want to commission this project in the name of God the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Ghost.
After the commissioning, the governor moves to the venue of the rally, where supporters expressed their excitement about the efforts of the state government in the community.
We really appreciate him. You can see the crowd that came out today to welcome their son. For us in Guma local government, he has no reason to even come and campaign here. It's just a formality. He has been winning this local government since he contested chairman of local government in 1990.
While canvassing for the support of his people, the governor promises that more projects are coming to the area.
Gone around various local government. This is the 14th local government that we're coming here today. But all the places, there is overwhelming support and endorsement from the people themselves, especially our ability to handle the issue of security. Risking my life, risking the lives of several other people, but ensuring that there must be security for our people. The people are happy, and I'm also happy with them.
The governor will be hoping that the people will take this reception given to him and his entourage to next month's election and vote for the candidates of the People's Democratic Party in the state.
Nigeria's population is on the increase. By 2030, more than 60% of the country's population will be living in cities. As the country's population continues to grow, so does its environmental crisis across multiple ecological zones. Flooding in the country last year displaced more than 500,000 people, destroyed hundreds of hectares of farmland, and increased fear of food insecurity. In our next report, our correspondent Ayola Kazim looks at how population growth affects the environment.
With one live birth every 4 seconds, against one death every 11 seconds, Nigeria's population figure is on the increase. Not even emigration, or Japa as it's called these days, can slow it down. And to accommodate the increase, we reclaim the ocean to build new cities. Some parts of the biodiversity hotspots have been cleared for a superhighway, while many are farming and building on wetlands. All these spell doom to many across the country.
When the roots are not there, and the grass are not there, and the forest cover is not there, then the water will run faster. And the faster they run, they pick the particles. The particle is seeped into the sea or into the river. That reduces the space available for the volume of water. They run out of the available space and they begin to cause havoc.
And the havoc is not limited to floods. More people means more carbon dioxide which we breathe out, but less trees to take them in. We need more cooling system, which also increases the temperature. Meanwhile, poor electricity supply is a major problem here in the country. The use of fossil fuels for power generation, industry, pollution transport, and urban waste generation, which is expected to hit 161.27 million tons annually by 2025, are major sources of air pollutants, black carbon, and carbon dioxide. All these mean bad news for our health, with increases in cardiovascular and respiratory illnesses. What's more, around 60% of infectious diseases we have today are estimated to have an animal origin. 70% of these originated in wildlife, as opposed to domesticated animals. The more the natural habitats are destroyed for development, the more we are told we will have cases of Lassa fever, monkeypox, and even COVID.
Government, we have to keep on. You know, the more we message, the more awareness, and of course, we have to lead by example. So when we build, we have to build low-carbon buildings. We have to put mass transportation systems in place, movement in buses, in trains, on water. We have to make sure that the vehicles are fuel efficient. We need to transit to electric vehicles. We need to talk about planting trees, and we need to talk about environmental protection. You know, we need to talk about disease surveillance and educating our children in school to make sure that they understand these fundamental principles.
The National Population Commission says environment is one of the major issues it will cover in this year's census to ensure better planning.
We want to be able to, one, contribute to carbon credit for Nigeria. That's why we're conducting a digital census. Digital census means we're not using so much of papers. You know, the use of paper means cutting a lot of trees. So we're saving the country and the world a number of so many trees that would have adversely affected the environment. And secondly, we should be able to ask questions about the environment so that we can gather the data that we can use for the purpose of planning for our development. The authorities in charge of climate change should be able to get data from us to be able to plan mitigation and adaptation.
With its population size, Nigeria spends very little on its citizens. Many even argue that the country is spending money that it does not have by borrowing. Adaptation and mitigation plans have not yielded much, while environmental degradation is not slowing down. Droughts, desertification, floods are killing, destroying livelihoods and fueling conflicts among different groups across the country. Environmentalists believe that nature will take care of itself, but one that it is time Nigerians started having the number of children that nature will permit them to nurture. Ayola Kasim, Channels Television News.
Let's find out what's happening in the world of business. Will Ibong has details.
Thanks, Melinda. Nigeria's forex reserves have continued its uptrend as the COFA records another week of increase. According to latest data from the central bank's website, the FX reserves rose by $2.61 million to $37.21 billion week on week. However, some analysts believe the FX liquidity issues will remain over the short to medium term. Now, forex market trading activity at the FMDQ exchange was mostly positive this week as the total turnover of transactions carried out at the FX spot Forwards and futures markets rose by over 27% week-on-week to about $665 million. Breaking it further down, total value of transactions at the I&E window rose by 21.62% to $545.18 million, while transactions at the FX derivatives market advanced by about 60%, despite the drop in futures. Meanwhile, the Naira's value remained unchanged from last week's close at 461 Naira 29 kobo to a dollar at an FX window. Now to company news now. Renowned smartphone brand Tecno has hosted influencers and key players in the tech industry, as well as its customers, for the launch of its new flagship Tecno Phantom series, Phantom X2 series in Lagos. The new Tecno brand comes with a retractable portrait lens, which the company says makes it the world's first camera grade with such a feature. Content creators, influencers, and tech experts are in attendance for the grand unveiling of the Tecno new Phantom smartphone, Phantom X2 series in Lagos, Nigeria. The new device is a new addition to the flagship Tecno Phantom X phone introduced last year. And then, the official launch of the Phantom X2 series. Phantom X2 series is the world's first camera grade with a retractable portrait lens. It has significant advantages over competing products in terms of its features, which include memory, battery life, fast charge, 5G network, and other unique features.
This is the first phone in the world to have a retractable portrait camera, so you can get a lot of quality portrait shots with this phone. If you're a techie, I think the fact that this comes with a 12 gig RAM, the fact that you get a really massive battery, 5,160 milliamp-hour battery, the fact that you get a massive back camera, 50 MP back camera, and a massive front-facing camera as well, actually makes it a worthy buy, right? So, but for the non-techies, if you're not a techie, then you love the fact that this actually has, but for the non-techies, you love the fact that this actually has very good camera quality. And you can also shoot in 4K at 60 frames per second. So I think it brings the best of both worlds together.
The marketing manager also speaks about Tecno's intentionality in making an eco-friendly product.
This phone is eco-friendly. If you can see from the back, so these are made from recyclable material from the ocean, plastic, because we know that plastic do cause some harm to the environment. So in our effort, being a responsible company, we just go around to get some of these things and then put it on the device, at the same time make it look nice, and then bring you the stylish phone.
Tecno Mobile prides itself as a global smartphone brand that creates elegantly designed smartphones with the latest technologies for progressive individuals in over 70 countries. Market traded slightly higher this week as investors continue to take positions in bellwether names despite sell pressure on Dangote Cement. The all-share index inched higher by 0.16% week-on-week, settling at 52,594.68 points, with year-to-date returns standing in positive territory at about 2.6%. Activity levels for the week were negative as trading volume fell to 1.24 billion units, while value declined to 15.67 billion naira. Sectoral performance was slightly mixed as the insurance and oil and gas indexes advanced, while the banking, industrial goods, and consumer goods indexes declined. International energy insurance topped the gainers chart for the week, while livestock feeds led the losers. The trio of Veritas Capital Assurance, Sterling Bank, and GT Co contributed 48.82% and 13.53% to the total equity volume and value traded in the week. And that's it on Business News. It's back to Melinda for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. To diplomatic matters now. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has launched the new Chancery building of the Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. According to the Minister of State, Ambassador Zubairu Dada, the edifice will serve as a link between ECOWAS and the Nigerian government, as well as host technical and statutory meetings that will strengthen economic and diplomatic relations among member states.
Considering the fact that we are hosting ECOWAS in Abuja or in Nigeria, it will also provide an avenue for other permanent representatives to ECOWAS of the member states to also, have a forum where they will meet every once in a while to discuss matters concerning ECOWAS. Our contribution is what we do from here, and of course we do it from here in relation, in concert with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs itself, because this is supposed to be an extension of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ECOWAS. So let's not have the impression that this is the ECOWAS Commission. No, it is not. It is our own contribution to ECOWAS, to the functions of ECOWAS Commission as Nigeria.
For the latest from the world of sports, here is Ayotunde Balogun.
Many thanks, Melinda. Welcome to Sports News. We start off in the English Premier League. Liverpool and Chelsea played out a bitterly disappointing stalemate at Anfield as both teams continue to struggle this season. Well, in other games, Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest settled for a goalless draw at the King Power Stadium. Evan Ferguson scored late to earn Brighton a point in a keenly contested encounter with Leicester City, which ended in a 2-2 draw. Well, elsewhere, Ollie Watkins scored in the 77th minute to earn Aston Villa victory over Southampton at St Mary's. Everton slumped to another defeat as Jared Bowen's first half double earned West Ham their first win in almost 3 months and pile more pressure on Frank Lampard. In the last game of the day, Crystal Palace and Newcastle United played out a goalless draw at Selhurst Park. The Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen has scored his 13th league goal for Napoli. Now, the 24-year-old got on the score sheet in Napoli's 2-0 victory over local rivals Salernitana and now lead the goal-scoring chart in Serie A. Luciano Spalletti's side now have to wait until Tuesday when AC Milan take on Lazio to know just how far in front they will be after collecting 50 points in 19 games. That's Sports News. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. It's back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Ayo. Security forces in Burkina Faso have rescued 66 women and children after they were kidnapped by suspected militant jihadists in the north of the country last week. They were found on a bus at a security checkpoint about 200 kilometers south of where they were taken. In an unprecedented mass kidnapping, the victims were seized while gathering food in an area hit by insurgency. It is not clear if their captors have also been detained. The victims, who have been held in captivity for 8 days, are now in the capital, Ouagadougou, where they are expected to be debriefed. An advisor to President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the West's indecision over sending extra weapons to Ukraine is killing its people. Mikhailo Podolak's remarks comes after Ukraine's defense minister said he had a frank discussion with his German counterpart about German Leopard 2 tanks, which Kiev is urgently requesting to confront Russian armor. Germany has maintained that it is not blocking the delivery of the German-made Leopard tanks, which other countries want to send as well. The country's defense minister, Boris Pistorius, said opinions remain divided over supplying Leopards, and he denied that Berlin was blocking such a move. And the main news again. The APC presidential candidate, Senator Bola Tinubu, today said he has what it takes to turn Nigeria into a developed and prosperous nation. Senator Tinubu made the declaration as his campaign train stormed Dutse, the Jigawa state capital. Also today, PDP leaders promised better days ahead for Nigerians as they took the party's presidential campaign to Mina, Niger State. Party's flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar, said his administration will complete the Barrow Port project in the state if elected president next month. And women in Anambra State today began mobilization of support for the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, just as Abga senatorial candidate for Anambra North took her campaign to communities in the zone. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Kinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.